Alright, so Konami apparently published their list. Um, it's on Pojo, and usually they don't actually post it and sticky it on Pojo until it's legit. So I'm assuming that this is the actual list, and well, it sucks. It's a terrible, pathetic, minimalist list, and yeah, well, let's just get right into it. So Super Poly banned. That's good. Super Poly is just it's a stupid card. It should rightfully be banned. That's one of the few good hits on this entire list. So then they limited Moralltach, Strike Fighter, and Snatch Steal, none of which are really good hits. Moralltach, fine. You can't splash Artifact Engine anymore. I'm not sure how I feel about that. The Artifact Engine was too good when it first came out, but it's not really anymore. There's way more ridiculous stuff now that they just totally ignored. The top three decks are all absurd, and they should have been hit, obviously, but they weren't. Konami cares more about sales than balance. Everybody knows this. And then they limited Stark Strike Fighter, which is stupid. It should just go straight to 3. The card isn't even good, really. It's like Cowboy. Are you going to limit Cowboy? That doesn't really make very much sense. So, yeah, Dark Strike Fighter should be at 3. And then they limited Snatch Steal, which is totally ridiculous, and this should be banned immediately. Next format, hopefully, because this is a stupid card and it's way too good. It's not even like it's a card that got power crept out of the game. Some big banned cards used to be good and now they're not good anymore. This is probably even better than it used to be because it's monster removal that doesn't destroy. It does target, but that's not as big of an issue as it is during some formats. But it's monster removal that doesn't destroy, and it allows OTKs easily, which are even more prevalent now than they used to be. So Snatch Steal is arguably better than when it was banned. So this is just a terrible move, and it's like Konami is like, oh, Regeki was fine. Let's bring back another ridiculous spell. And Regeki was fine. You could have brought back Regeki, but not Snatch Steal. It's totally different. And I mean, anyone who understands the game at all, it's really obvious. Anyways, and then we got 3 more moves, none of which are really that good. First of all, Honest to 2 is terrible. Honest should be getting banned, if anything. I mean, this card is way too good. And 2 Honest actually stack. Like, Crane doesn't stack, so it's more okay at multiples than Honest, but Honest does stack. So 2 Honest at the same time in your hand is just extremely ridiculous. This card is not fair. It should not be at 2. It's barely okay at 1. It is fine at 1, but 2 is not okay. And then Goyo Guardian went to 2, which is stupid because you should just put it to 3. Nobody's going to be playing 3. There's no reason to semi-limit this. And it's just stupid Konami logic. You can't move anything from 1 to 3 because for whatever reason that's just way too scary. And then Dark Hole went to 2. I don't really think Dark Hole should be at 2, just on principle, but I don't think it'll do anything at 2. It's not really that good right now. Yeah. And then 5 cards went to 3, which should have gone to 3. These are all good moves. I agree with this. Gale went to 3, Gund went to 3, Tengu went to 3, Reasoning, and then Transmigration Prophecy. So to address them each individually, Gale is fine now. Blackwings aren't good. Gale should have gone to 3 before Kalut did. Kalut is worse for the game than Gale is. Yeah, Gale could be maybe splashable, but probably not. Gund is the most questionable out of these, but it's probably fine. Mermails aren't as good as the current best decks, so it's probably not going to do anything. The gun hit was a little silly, anyways. Yeah, they should have probably hit Tias instead of Gund. And then Tengu to 3, I kind of like that. Maybe I'll use Tengu now in something. It's a cool card, but it's not that good compared to the floaters. Like Burning Abyss floaters float better than Tengu, so yeah, it didn't really make sense to be on the list anymore. And then Reasoning, it's like, who cares? Who's gonna play it? And then Transmigration Prophecy is obvious. This was stupid that it was on the list in the first place. Another problem besides the fact... Okay, so the main problem with this list is it just didn't do anything to the best decks. Skill Drain should have been limited. Honestly, probably Sacrifice also probably should have been limited. Scout is probably too hard of a hit, so Sacrifice would have made more sense for Cliff Forts. And then Burning Abyss needs to have 2 out of their main monsters hit. So out of Tour Guide, Scar, Sir, Graf, and Dante. Limit 2 out of those 5, and the deck's probably fine after that. We'd have to test it to see, but that's my first impression on it, at least. And then Shadal's also needs a hit. My personal hit would be Shadal Fusion to 0, because Shadal Fusion is unfair when you're using a deck that uses the extra deck. So I don't think that card should exist in the game. A more reasonable hit would probably be something like Beast to 1, or Construct or Winda to 1. Construct to 1 would hurt the deck a lot, probably, actually. They did hit Super Poly, which was a hit to the deck, so they actually did hit Shadal's a little bit. They didn't completely ignore it like they did the other 2 top decks. And then the second main problem with this list is it didn't address the numerous cards on this list that shouldn't be on the list anymore because they're just not good. I've been over this a lot of times in my previous videos on the ban list, so I don't really want to get into it as much. I'll just highlight a few that I personally really want back. I want Dark Magician of Chaos to 3. This card is not good, but I want to play it. It's fun. I want Tribe Infecting Virus back. I have one of these from back when it was allowed, so it's a really old card. But this is actually terrible. Like, you wouldn't even play this in Mermails because it's just that bad. So this should just go straight to 3, and I just want it because it's cool. I want One Zen Mighty back for my windups. It's pretty obvious. And I think that's probably it for... none of the spells. I don't like any of the spells for the most part. Some of them could come back. Oh yeah, Solemn Judgment. Solemn Judgment to 1. This is, like, my favorite trap. And we need more traps. There are not very many good traps at all. Like, there's Vanities is good. Solemn Warning is good. Bottomless is good. Compulse is good. If you can play it, Phoenix Wing Windblast is good. Book of Moon is good. That's it. And 4 of those are limited to 1. So there's just no good traps right now, and it's a problem if you want to play any deck that tries to use traps. Other cards I want back, I want Birdman at higher numbers, because Birdman's awesome. One of the coolest tuner monsters. All you have to do is just ban that stupid fusion, and then you get rid of the dumb cards. Going along with that, Divine Wind of Mist Valley, I want that back to 3 also, because that's obviously good in ninjas. And then Glow Up Bulb I want to 3 because why is it at 1? Nobody's gonna play more than 1. It's just stupid. Moving on, I want Book of Moon to 3 because we need more traps. Book of Moon is totally fair. And then the other limited card that I most want to move up is Sacred Sword of 7 Stars. This is like a worse version of Trade-In. And limiting Trade-In is just so mind-bogglingly stupid. It doesn't make any sense. And this is just, it's good support for decks that run level 7 monsters. I don't know why level 7 decks can't have nice things, but apparently they can't. And then the last one that I just particularly want myself is Advanced Ritual Art to 3, because ritual decks are cool, with the exception of Necros. And Advanced Ritual Art is the best support they have, pretty much, except for Preparation of Rites. And this is also is a support for non-Necros ritual decks. Preparation of Rites helps Necros, obviously, a lot more than this does. And then there's a lot of other cards that can move up the list, but I'm just not going to get into that because there's way too many of them. And then the last thing I want to talk about, the OCG list came out before this one did, and they errated a lot of forbidden cards and then unbanned them. They put them to 1. Like, they put Chaos Emperor Dragon to 1. And since we got the Dark Stripe Fighter Errata and got it unbanned a year later, we're also almost for sure going to get these Erratas and get them unbanned in about a year. So I want to address each of these briefly. Overall, the concept I'm fine with. I feel like it might get confusing if you do too many Erratas. It's kind of annoying if you have a bunch of cards that don't work the way that they're written on the card. And then my main complaint with it is actually Sinister Serpent. So it's fine if they errata cards that are totally broken and have no chance of coming back. So, for example, Chaos Emperor Dragon, there's no way it was ever coming back with how it was originally written. So if you want to bring it back, it makes sense to errata it. Sinister Serpent, however, could have gone straight to 3 with no errata, and nobody would have played it for the most part. It would have been used in some casual decks, probably, but it's not anywhere close to as good as the current cards we have now. Burning Abyss just completely outclasses it as far as discard fodder goes. But for some reason, Konami errated it to make it worse, so it's even less playable now. So that's my main problem, just that one card in particular for the erratas. It's just... So basically they made Sinister Serpent, so instead of being a free discard every turn, it's a free discard every other turn. So it's like half as good. And then the other erratas were all okay. So Chaos Emperor Dragon is still broken. It's not as broken. It doesn't work with Light Pulsar Dragon anymore. And the only way you can really abuse it is with something that would just be unaffected by it. And it has a continuous effect because you can't activate other effects the turn. So you can't like do a Yada Lock, or you can't like search something off of Sangan or whatever. So this, for example, won't work very well in a Burning Abyss deck because instead of floating, your Burning Abyss monsters will just not get their effects. So I mean, it's a lot more balanced than it would have been, but it's still a 3,000 beater that's really easy to drop, and you can potentially use that 3,000 beater to just totally nuke your opponent's field and hand. It totally nukes your field and hand also, but if you're losing by a lot, that can still be a huge turnaround. And you can also just use it as a cowboy to end the game. So it doesn't really have very many downsides at all, because you don't have to use the effect. You can just use it as a beat stick if you draw it in a situation where you don't want to use the effect. So it's just crazy, and every Chaos deck will play it. I already addressed Sinister Serpent as the next one that got errated. And then they also did an errata for Temple of the Kings. They did it so it's once per turn. Instead of being able to activate traps the turn they're set as many times as you want per turn. You also can't use the special summon from the deck, hand, or extra deck effect during the same turn you activate a trap with Temple of the Kings. So that's extremely balanced now, and there's no problems with that. That's actually a good change, in my opinion, because it was too broken to come back as it was, and now it's totally fine as it is. And then they errated a lot of traps. They did Crush Card Virus, and it's still broken. It's not nearly as broken. You basically have to use it as a side deck card now, because there are certain decks where it's bad against and certain decks where it's good against. Currently it'll nuke the field, and then your opponent will send 3 monsters from their deck to the grave. So if you're playing against a deck like Satellar Knights, where they don't have effects that'll activate when they're sent to the grave, then it's good. Clifford's, it's also another one where going sent to the grave from the deck isn't in Clifford's favor. But you don't want to use Crush Card Virus against decks like Shadal's or Burning Abyss, because they'll just send monsters to the grave and get their effects. So basically, it's not that good against decks where their monsters float or where they want to dump stuff into the grave, like Dragon Rulers, for example. But against any other deck that's like a more normal, I guess, in terms of floating ability, it's extremely good against all those decks still. And it actually, Crush Card Virus coming back hurts rogue decks a lot if this sees play, because rogue decks will get hurt by this a lot. So I would actually probably ban this, even with a new effect. I would also ban Chaos Emperor Dragon, even with the new effect. And then Exchange of the Spirit is another one that they errated. So this one they made it so both you and your opponent have to have 15 cards in grave to use it, instead of just you. And this is obviously a great improvement to the card. You can't use it to just kill your opponent by not letting them have any cards in their deck. There's not much to say on that. It goes from being a stupid, unfair, pointless card to being a fun, gimmicky, pointless card. So it's still pointless. It's just, it doesn't kill your opponent randomly. And then the last card that they did an errata for was Ring of Destruction. This is the only one that I'm actually excited for. They made it so you can't kill your opponent with Ring of Destruction, and you can't use Ring of Destruction on your own monster, basically. So it's basically made it so it's monster removal with burn, and it's no longer like an OTK enabler, which is good. And we really need traps. I got into this a little bit earlier in the video. The Ring of Destruction is a good trap, so I'm excited for when we finally get that back in the TCG. So that was my impression on the ban list. Basically, I hated it. Hopefully the next one's better. I really want the next ban list to just be a nuke. Just totally destroy all the top decks. There's so many cards that need to get hit right now. It's ridiculous. We didn't even get a Vanity's Emptiness hit, actually. I personally don't mind that, but for the sake of balance, it probably should be at 1. The reason I'm kind of okay with the card is because it's a lot better against Burning Abyss and Shadal's than it is against most non-top tier decks. So Vanity's Emptiness is actually a good card for helping lower tier decks fight against the ridiculousness that is the top tier. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed my impression on the ban list. If you did, be sure to check out some of my other videos.